Do magical civilizations exist somewhere out there in the universe? Let's be real. When we say magic, what usually pops into our heads is kind of ridiculous. Some guy in a robe that looks like it was shoplifted from a Renaissance fair starts mumbling words that sound like Google Translate stuck on dial-up, waves his hands like he's doing yoga but failing hard, and then, bam, suddenly you've got fireballs, lightning bolts, telepathy, time freeze powers, or a giant demon crawling out of the floor like it just missed its Uber. And the weirdest part, nobody asks for a peer-reviewed paper explaining how any of it works. Meanwhile, here on boring old planet Earth, the kingdom of stubborn materialists, nothing gets a free pass. Apple falls, gravity. Boats float, Archimedes. You don't faceplant every time you walk. Friction. Your bedroom light flickers. Clearly, your neighbor's ghost is rehearsing the next TikTok dance trend.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
Basically, over here, everything has an equation, a principle, a boring PowerPoint slide behind it. Over in the magical world, though, some teenager waves a stick the size of a chopstick, shouts abracadabra, and people just die. I'm sorry, but if Einstein could see that, he'd be spinning in his grave so fast we could hook him up to a turbine and power half of New York. But let's stretch the imagination for a second. What if there's a parallel universe where the laws of physics took a vacation and instead of particles and forces, the whole place is saturated with magic energy floating around in the air like Wi-Fi signals? And the locals don't even need Starbucks. They just inhale magic the way we inhale caffeine every morning. In that world, tossing fireballs, freezing lakes, calling lightning, or making rocks do the cha-cha-cha would be as normal as us flipping a light switch or opening YouTube to watch cat videos. Different operating system, same functionality. They've got magic.exe. We've got physics.dll. The foundation is different, but the vibe, surprisingly similar. We memorize equations. They memorize spells. A high school kid here solves for X. A wizard kid there solves for who gets blasted. Oh! A formula is a formula. Whether it's written in Greek letters or runes, stolen from Skyrim, to us, magic looks insane. But imagine how we must look to them. Think about it. A human pulls out a glowing rectangle, taps some random letters, and boom, a beautiful woman appears inside, singing and dancing. From their perspective, that's not an iPhone. That's necromancy with better graphics. Magic has rituals. Science has procedures. A wizard carves runes into a mirror and sees a faraway land. I FaceTime my friend and see him lying on the couch across the ocean eating Doritos. Same end result, just different subscription plan. So yeah, science and magic are basically Windows and Mac. Same basic idea, but completely incompatible. If a grand sorcerer got dumped in our world without ambient mana to absorb, he'd be waving his staff around like a crazy guy at Comic-Con. And the best he could manage is the equivalent of a flickering Zippo lighter. On the flip side, if I showed up in the middle of WizardCon, grabbed a megaphone, and yelled, "The Earth revolves around the sun," best case scenario, I get laughed at like a drunk guy at karaoke. Worst case scenario, congratulations, I just earned myself a first-class ticket to the steak-burning festival. Here's the kicker: when if magic could actually be broken down, studied, and codified, then it's not even magic anymore. It's just science with better special effects. Science is basically magic. We've already debugged. Magic is science we haven't patched yet. Different syntax, same engine, and let's not forget, in fantasy novels, magic isn't some free-for-all playground. It's structured. Like STEM with more glitter. You think you just hop on a broom and boom, you're flying? Nope. There's literally a class called Art of Broom Flight. You think yelling Fireball is enough? Wrong. There's a whole Fireball 101 curriculum, complete with a midterm exam where if you screw up, congratulations, your cauldron explodes and you're trending on Wizard TikTok for epic lab fail. Teachers freak out, classmates can't stop sharing, and your parents call like, "Are you studying magic or setting off fireworks?" Honestly, it's no different from regular high school chemistry, except instead of that awful rotten egg smell of sulfur gas, you get the lovely aroma of burnt hair. Our kids suffer through SAT and ACT. Their kids suffer through OWL and NEWT. Whether you're at Harvard or Hogwarts, insomnia is included in the tuition package. And wizard rankings? Don't even get me started. Gray-robed wizards are basically community college dropouts who stare in the mirror and tell themselves, "I'm gonna be somebody." White-robed wizards, total Ivy League energy. They strut around in spotless robes, condescendingly correct everyone else's wand-waving form like it's a chemistry lab practicum, even though, let's be honest, half the time it's just cosplay with extra glitter. Survive enough exploding cauldrons and boom, you get promoted from gray to white, kind of like getting accepted into Harvard, except you don't need to fork over 200 grand in student loans. And imagine what would happen if one of our straight A students crossed over. They'd be pulling in manna from the atmosphere, publishing research papers on monocrystal behavior in a chaotic climate, and winning magical Nobel Prizes before breakfast. But here's the internet's favorite question. If a tech-based civilization went head-to-head with a magic-based civilization, who wins? Answer: whoever the author likes more, that's it. These systems are so different you can't even compare. It's not about strength, it's about which side the writer wants to buff. Translation: the winner is whoever's better at bullshitting. But one thing's for sure. If magic really obeys universal rules, then magical civilizations would eventually end up looking suspiciously like us. They'd dive into microscopic studies, discover quantum sorcery, open up black holes made of dark mana, and argue about whether Schrodinger's cat is alive, dead, or just hexed. They'd invent shields, flight spells, and magical rockets, then shoot themselves straight into space, colonizing the stars the same way we're trying with NASA and SpaceX, except with more capes and fewer budget cuts. In the end, the only real difference between us and them is the source code. We run on physics, they run on mana, but both systems lead to the same conclusion: sleepless students, overconfident professors, exploding experiments, and the eternal dream of flying off this rock to see what else is out there